Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you are having a fabulous Tuesday. So let's get to it. This is our Lesson 10 talk. If you've not met me before, I am Piper Harris with Sneakered Life Coaching. I hope to bring you tips, tools, and tricks for you to add to your life, to create a life that drives, empowers, excites, and motivates you. I also hope to bring something to your leadership style, to your organization, to create that change and create that culture for thriving success. So let's get to it. So we're talking about the mathematics of leadership. But first, I have a story for you. So Bob walks into his office and his stress is absolutely apparent. I mean, you can see it all over his body. He's loudly barking into his phone. I can't believe I have to do everything. I know I'm the head executive for a reason. I have the best record, but how is it that I'm the only one capable of getting this project done? This team, what team? These people, they don't have a clue how good they have it. I make their life so easy for them. I'm sick and tired of doing all this work. I'm always the one that has to get it done. Bob stomps down this hallway, screaming into his phone, and Diane, his team lead, had a meeting with him at 10. So she's standing outside his office door. It's 10:40. She's still waiting for the meeting. He storms past her, slams the door in her face, and doesn't even acknowledge her presence. 12 p.m., an emergency meeting is called by Bob. Everybody he decided on the team needed to come to Jesus talk, and they were going to listen to him. The meeting entails him constantly using I statements while also degrading them and not utilizing the team that was built for this project. The team leaves absolutely exhausted, seriously ticked off, and unmotivated. The only thing they want to do, that they're motivated to do, is head on over to LinkedIn and look for a new job. So, does anybody have a story like this in their life? Does this story resonate with you? Have you had a boss like this one? I mean, we've all had bosses like this, right? So have you ever even been with an individual where they were placed in a temporary position of authority, a temporary position of leadership, and they just kind of lorded it over you? They self-promoted. They had no awareness of themselves or others. Me too. I mean, thinking about the scenario, I had so many like this. I remember even when I started into the counseling field, I was working at a boys' ranch, and I had been counseling at a couple different places. And granted, I was a young kid. I was 23 or 24, but this was like my fourth time, I've got this down. I know what I'm doing. And I'll never forget, there was an older gentleman that worked there at the boys' ranch, and he decided that now that I was a new female counselor on campus, I needed to do the cooking. No, I'm not kidding. He stood over me in the kitchen and told me how to whip eggs for the boys' ranch for breakfast. It was crazy. He used all these I statements and he degraded me. And I was like, I was hired for a job, not as a chef. And I'll never forget him because it was a bad scenario. And I'm sure you have those as well. So listen, we can learn from Bob and all the different Bobs in our life. We absolutely can learn from them. What we need to do is we need to implement the mathematics of leadership. I just love this. I saw this from an executive coach, and I just love what he did and how he, set this out. So listen, the mathematics of leadership, is it simple? Yes. However, it's not exactly easy to take these steps to change leadership, especially if you're not in the leadership role, right? But the best thing we can do is lead by example, to learn the mathematics of leadership and share with those around us. So if you work on these mathematics of leadership, it's going to increase motivation and drive within your team and your organization. It's going to create a culture that's going to propel you forward even quicker, more efficiently, and more creatively in the process. So, what am I talking about? The mathematics of leadership. Well, we're going to add awareness. We're going to subtract self-promotion. We're going to multiply talent, and we're going to divide big challenges. So let's talk about Bob. Let's talk about him. What did Bob do? Well, number one, Bob was obviously not self-aware, let alone aware of anybody else in his path. Not only is he bringing that negative phone conversation to everyone else's ears, he's stopping through the halls without a care in the world. He slams the door in Diane's face. Bob needs to add some awareness, right? Bob needs to be aware of his behavior, how his behavior is impacting others, and also be aware of poor Diane. You just slammed the door in her face. You were 40 minutes late. Be aware. When you're not aware in a leadership position, you're doing nothing to build a culture of inclusivity, a culture of creativity and action and motivation. So, this is important. And this goes hand in hand with what I talked about yesterday, about having to pump up our emotional intelligence. Self-awareness is a form of empathy, and it's going to increase your emotional intelligence. Increase in emotional intelligence is showing an increase in a positive culture in your organization. Bob needs to add some self-awareness. So, number two, Bob really likes Bob, right? I mean, talk about self-promotion. Listen, I remember a time I had a boss tell me, I'd sent an email, I had a boss tell me, you used a lot of I in those communications. Now, the reason this was said to me was because I had had enough. I had had enough of Bob in my life. And so my last communication with this organization involved a lot of I's. And you know what it was? It was to bring that concept home. Self-promotion does nothing for the team. Self-promotion without self-awareness is arrogance. Self-promotion without self-awareness, without acknowledging others' talent, that is just narcissistic arrogance. We've all had those kind of Bobs in our life. I this, I that, I did this, I do that. I mean, and being around those people, it's exhausting, right? It's exhausting. So Bob needs to subtract some self-promotion. So number three, Bob didn't acknowledge the talent which had been placed on this team for this project. Bob refused to see Diane. It was his lead on this team. He should have been utilizing her extreme talent. She had vast experience. That's why she was chosen to be his right hand. She was hired for this very reason and would increase their success rate. So Bob was unaware, self-promoting, and he wasn't multiplying talent. He could have multiplied his talent with her talent and all the team members and knocked this project out of the ballpark. So number four, Bob told himself he could do it all. Now this is part of that self-awareness, self-promotion, the arrogance that's going along with Bob. We've all known Bobs. And hey, if there's a Bob watching, this isn't about you. But Bob told himself he could do it all. However that's rooted in arrogance or control, whatever it may be, this big project became a big problem. He should have utilized the team. He should have recognized that, hey, these people have amazing talent, and if I put them all together and we divvy this up, this is going to be an amazing project, and we're going to kill it. But he didn't. He didn't utilize it. He didn't divide up the team. So what can we learn from Bob, right? Don't be Bob. Use the mathematics of leadership. Add to your self-awareness. Bolster your emotional intelligence. Realize the impact that you have on others. Subtract self-promotion. Remember that a true leader isn't about you. It's about you leading your team. It's about promoting them, encouraging them, and leading them. They were hired for a reason. You do this by doing less self-promotion and encouraging and lifting up your team. Everybody is going to gain praise, and everybody's worthy of it. You've got to multiply the talent. So think about it. What is your project? What are the different aspects of the project? Break it down. Identify those team players that have true talent and put them together. You're multiplying the talent for that task. You're creating a culture of success. Next, you got to divide the challenge. No one said you had to do it all, Bob. That's your self-promotion flaring up. You do have to recognize that you need to divide the challenge and ask for help. In fact, today I just saw an article from Brene Brown. The best 4-letter word a leader can ever say is help. That's why you divide up those challenges. So the mathematics of leadership, you got to add self-awareness. You've got to subtract self-promotion. You've got to multiply the talent and divide those big challenges. And that is going to create a culture that you want, a thriving, creative, successful culture within your organization. So ask yourself, where do you need to add, subtract, multiply, and divide? Is this simple? Yes. Is it easy? No. If you're not the top of the totem pole, it's hard. It's hard to change what management's doing. But you can still lead with a mathematics of leadership. You have a choice to be a leader in and of yourself, whether it's at home, in a small creative group, whatever it is, you have the choice to follow the mathematics of leadership. Your team is depending on it. So that's today's Lesson 10 talk. How are you going to use the mathematics of leadership? Don't be Bob. I'm Piper Harris with Sneaker Life Coaching. Thank you so much for joining us today for Lesson 10 Talk. If you have any questions regarding my life coaching or organizational development and leadership coaching, I would love to hear from you. Please head over to piperharris.net for lots more information. Thanks so much and have a great day.